My husband walked out on our 12-year marriage for his 26-year-old secretary, thinking he was escaping to financial freedom with his new girlfriend. 6 months later, she called me in tears after discovering he owed my consulting firm $500,000 and had been using their relationship to hide his mounting debts from both of us. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The irony of my situation became crystal clear on the evening of March 15, 2024, as I sat in my home office reviewing quarterly financial statements for my consulting firm, Meridian Strategic Solutions. While my husband James celebrated his supposed liberation with his secretary-turned-girlfriend at an expensive downtown restaurant, I was discovering the intricate web of financial deception that would ultimately become his downfall and my strategic advantage. My name is Victoria Lawson, and this is the story of how systematic business acumen, strategic patience, and unwavering professional ethics transformed what appeared to be personal betrayal into the foundation for both business expansion and personal empowerment. More importantly, this narrative demonstrates how maintaining focus on long-term objectives can convert apparent disasters into opportunities for growth and strategic advancement. The foundation of this transformation began years before the betrayal itself became apparent. Understanding the complete scope of events requires examining the business and personal circumstances that created both the opportunity for deception and the framework for ultimate resolution. Meridian Strategic Solutions was established in 2018 as a boutique consulting firm specializing in organizational efficiency optimization for mid-sized corporations throughout the southeastern United States. The company emerged from my recognition that many businesses struggled with systematic approaches to operational improvement, creating substantial opportunities for consultants who could provide comprehensive analysis and implementation support. The initial business concept developed during my tenure as senior operations analyst at Hartwell Industries, where I had observed recurring patterns of inefficiency that affected multiple client organizations. These companies possessed adequate resources and competent personnel, but lacked systematic frameworks for identifying and addressing operational bottlenecks that limited their growth potential. My academic background in industrial engineering from Georgia Tech, combined with 8 years of practical experience in operations analysis, provided the technical foundation necessary to develop comprehensive improvement methodologies. However, the transition from employee to entrepreneur required additional capabilities in business development, client relationship management, and strategic planning that extended far beyond technical consulting expertise. The decision to establish an independent consulting practice represented both significant professional risk and substantial personal commitment. James initially supported this entrepreneurial initiative, recognizing that successful consulting businesses could generate income levels that exceeded traditional employment compensation. His encouragement during the early planning phases created the impression of genuine partnership in building our shared financial future. The first 18 months of Meridian Strategic Solutions required intensive focus on client acquisition and service delivery excellence. Establishing credibility within the competitive consulting marketplace demanded consistent demonstration of measurable value creation for initial clients, followed by systematic expansion of service offerings and market penetration. Early client projects focused on manufacturing efficiency optimization and supply chain coordination improvement. These engagements provided opportunities to refine methodologies while generating case studies that supported business development efforts with larger and more complex client organizations. The consulting approach emphasized quantifiable results rather than theoretical recommendations, ensuring that clients could measure return on investment directly. Word-of-mouth referrals from satisfied clients created steady business growth that exceeded initial projections. Within 2 years, Meridian Strategic Solutions had established relationships with 15 regular clients and generated annual revenue approaching $400,000. The business model proved sustainable and scalable, positioning the firm for continued expansion into additional service areas and geographic markets. However, this professional success created unexpected challenges within my marriage. James had initially supported my entrepreneurial ambitions when they represented potential future benefits. As the consulting business achieved measurable success, his attitude shifted toward resentment and competitive behavior that suggested deeper issues with our relationship dynamic. James Lawson worked as regional sales manager for Atlantic Financial Services, a position he had held for 7 years with consistent but unremarkable performance. His income provided adequate contribution to our household expenses, but his career advancement had stagnated due to what he described as office politics and inadequate recognition of his capabilities. Our marriage had been generally stable during the first decade, characterized by shared financial goals and compatible lifestyle preferences. We had discussed starting a family but postponed those plans to focus on career development and financial security. James supported my decision to pursue graduate education and initially encouraged my transition to independent consulting. The relationship dynamic began shifting as Meridian Strategic Solutions achieved increasing success. James exhibited growing discomfort with my professional recognition and financial contribution to our household. His comments about my work became increasingly dismissive, suggesting that consulting success resulted from favorable market conditions rather than competence or strategic thinking. These attitude changes coincided with his increasing focus on workplace relationships, particularly his interactions with Amanda Foster, who joined Atlantic Financial Services as executive assistant in early 2023. James described Amanda as exceptionally capable and professionally ambitious, qualities he claimed were lacking in his other colleagues. Initially, I interpreted his enthusiasm for Amanda's contributions as positive workplace dynamics that might improve his job satisfaction and career prospects. James had previously complained about inadequate administrative support affecting his productivity, so having a competent assistant seemed beneficial for his professional development. The first indication of problematic relationship dynamics emerged during a routine review of our joint financial accounts in late 2023. James had requested access to our shared credit line to fund what he described as client entertainment expenses that would generate increased sales commissions. The requested amount was reasonable, and his explanation seemed plausible given the competitive nature of financial services sales. However, the actual charges on our joint accounts did not align with typical business entertainment patterns. Instead of client dinner expenses and professional event costs, the statements showed charges for upscale restaurants, expensive gifts, and luxury retail purchases that seemed inconsistent with business development activities. When I questioned these discrepancies, James provided explanations that were technically plausible but lacked the specific details that would characterize legitimate business expenses. His defensive responses to routine financial inquiries suggested deeper issues that required more systematic investigation. My business training emphasized the importance of thorough documentation and verification for all financial transactions. Applying these same principles to personal financial management revealed patterns that warranted closer examination and more detailed monitoring of our shared accounts and individual spending behaviors. Rather than confronting James directly about the suspicious financial patterns, I implemented systematic monitoring procedures that would provide comprehensive understanding of our actual financial situation. This approach reflected lessons learned through business consulting, where premature conclusions often prevented accurate problem diagnosis and effective solution development. The investigation methodology included detailed analysis of all shared financial accounts, systematic documentation of spending patterns and their stated purposes, and discrete verification of James's explanations through publicly available information and casual inquiry. The objective was developing complete understanding of our financial circumstances before taking any action that might compromise information gathering opportunities. Credit card statements revealed increasing frequency of charges at establishments that did not align with James's described business activities. Restaurant expenses occurred during times when he claimed to be attending client meetings, but the locations and amounts suggested personal rather than professional dining. Gift purchases appeared on dates that did not correspond to any business occasions or personal celebrations we had discussed. Most concerning were cash advance transactions that James had not mentioned during our regular financial discussions. These advances totaled several $1,000s over a 6-month period, but had no corresponding explanation in terms of business expenses or personal needs we had identified together. While conducting personal financial investigation, I simultaneously evaluated whether James's behavior patterns might affect Meridian Strategic Solutions directly. Business success depended on maintaining impeccable professional reputation and financial integrity, making any association with financial impropriety potentially damaging to client relationships and future growth opportunities. Review of business accounts revealed no direct impact from James's suspicious activities, but his access to our household financial information provided indirect exposure to business-related banking and credit arrangements. Any significant financial problems in James's personal situation could potentially affect our joint financial obligations and, by extension, my ability to maintain business operations. More importantly, the systematic deception that seemed to characterize James's recent behavior suggested psychological and ethical issues that could manifest in other areas of our relationship. Business consulting required maintaining confidentiality and professional integrity across all aspects of life, making any pattern of deception potentially problematic for continued success. The investigation revealed that James had been systematically misrepresenting his activities and financial obligations for several months. This pattern suggested deliberate concealment rather than casual oversight, indicating deeper issues that would require comprehensive response strategies. The breakthrough in understanding James's actual situation came through an unexpected source during a routine business networking event in February 2024. Amanda Foster attended the same professional development seminar I was attending, providing an opportunity for casual conversation about workplace dynamics and career development objectives. Amanda's comments about her position at Atlantic Financial Services revealed significant discrepancies with James's descriptions of their working relationship. She mentioned handling complex client account management responsibilities that James had claimed as his own achievements. She also described financial challenges within the sales department that contradicted James's optimistic reports about his performance and commission potential. Most significantly, Amanda's casual references to professional development expenses suggested that James had been misrepresenting the source and purpose of charges appearing on our joint financial accounts. What he had described as client entertainment appeared to be personal expenses related to impressing Amanda rather than legitimate business development activities. This revelation required careful strategic thinking about how to gather additional information without compromising my investigation or creating workplace complications for Amanda. The networking event provided valuable insights, but comprehensive understanding would require additional information gathering through other channels. Following the networking event revelation, I established systematic documentation procedures that would provide comprehensive evidence of James's actual activities and financial obligations. Business experience had taught me that effective problem resolution requires complete information rather than assumptions or partial understanding. The documentation process included detailed tracking of all financial transactions, systematic recording of James's stated activities and their verification through available sources, and careful preservation of evidence that might support future legal or financial proceedings. This approach reflected standard business practices for managing potential disputes or compliance issues. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Bank records provided objective evidence of spending patterns that contradicted James's explanations. Communication records revealed frequent contact with Amanda during times when James claimed to be attending business meetings or client events. Travel expenses appeared for destinations that did not align with any business activities we had discussed or that would benefit his career advancement. The systematic approach revealed that James had been conducting an elaborate deception for more than 8 months, using our joint financial resources to fund a relationship with Amanda while maintaining the pretense of focusing on business development and career advancement. As evidence of James's deception accumulated, I implemented protective measures to insulate Meridian Strategic Solutions from potential financial or reputational damage. Business consulting requires maintaining client confidence and professional integrity, making any association with financial impropriety potentially devastating for future growth prospects. The protection strategy included establishing separate banking arrangements for all business-related transactions, documenting the complete separation between personal and professional financial obligations, and ensuring that any resolution of personal financial issues would not affect business operations or client relationships. Legal consultation confirmed that Meridian Strategic Solutions could be protected from James's personal financial obligations through proper corporate structure and financial separation. However, any joint personal debts or obligations could potentially affect my personal financial situation and, indirectly, my ability to maintain business operations. The protection measures proved prescient, as subsequent investigation revealed that James's financial deception extended far beyond the misuse of our joint accounts. His attempts to maintain his relationship with Amanda had created substantial personal debt that would eventually require comprehensive resolution. By early March 2024, I had accumulated comprehensive evidence of James's financial deception and relationship betrayal. However, business experience suggested that effective confrontation required strategic preparation and clear objectives, rather than emotional response to discovered betrayal. The preparation process included consulting with legal professionals about potential divorce proceedings and financial separation requirements, establishing complete financial independence for both personal and business obligations, and developing communication strategies that would protect my interests while minimizing conflict during the resolution process. Most importantly, I prepared psychologically for the end of our marriage while maintaining focus on protecting the business interests that represented my primary source of financial security and professional fulfillment. The systematic approach to gathering evidence and preparing responses reflected the same methodical thinking that had enabled business success. The complete scope of James's deception became apparent during a routine business contract review in mid-March 2024. Among the documents requiring attention was a service agreement for a consulting project that had been initiated 6 months earlier but had experienced payment delays due to client cash flow challenges. The client was Atlantic Financial Services, James's employer, and the consulting engagement involved operational efficiency improvements for their administrative and client management processes. The project had been progressing satisfactorily, but recent payment delays had created concerns about the client's financial stability and ability to fulfill their contractual obligations. Review of the Atlantic Financial Services account revealed that the payment delays were not due to general financial challenges but rather to specific complications related to unauthorized expenses that had created budget shortfalls in their operations department. The unauthorized expenses included charges for entertainment, gifts, and travel that had been processed through company accounts without proper approval or documentation. Further investigation revealed that James had been using his position and access to company resources to fund his relationship with Amanda, creating significant financial obligations for Atlantic Financial Services that affected their ability to meet consulting service payment schedules. The total amount of unauthorized expenses exceeded $500,000, representing a substantial financial crisis for the company and personal legal exposure for James. This discovery revealed that James's betrayal extended far beyond personal infidelity to include professional fraud that affected both his employer and my consulting business. The unauthorized expenses had been concealed through accounting manipulations that would eventually require comprehensive investigation and legal resolution. The discovery of James's extensive financial fraud required immediate strategic response that would protect both my personal interests and business operations, while ensuring appropriate legal and ethical handling of the criminal behavior that had been revealed. Business consulting experience provided frameworks for managing complex situations that required balancing multiple stakeholder interests and legal obligations. The response strategy included immediate consultation with legal professionals who specialized in both divorce proceedings and business fraud cases, coordination with Atlantic Financial Services to address their financial crisis and my company's affected receivables, and systematic documentation of all evidence that might support legal proceedings against James. Most importantly, the strategy emphasized maintaining professional integrity and business reputation while addressing the personal betrayal and financial deception that had been discovered. The objective was achieving justice and financial recovery while preserving the business relationships and professional standing that represented my long-term security and success. The systematic approach to this crisis would ultimately demonstrate that comprehensive preparation and strategic thinking could transform apparent disaster into opportunity for both personal growth and business expansion. However, the immediate priority was protecting against further damage, while gathering the information necessary for effective legal and financial response. The foundation had been established for a comprehensive resolution that would address James's betrayal, while positioning Meridian Strategic Solutions for continued growth and success. The methodical investigation and strategic preparation would prove essential for navigating the complex legal and financial challenges that lay ahead. This was just the beginning of a journey that would test every aspect of my business acumen and personal resilience, while ultimately demonstrating the power of systematic thinking and strategic patience in overcoming apparently devastating circumstances. The real transformation was about to begin. The revelation of James's extensive financial fraud at Atlantic Financial Services transformed my approach from personal betrayal management to comprehensive business crisis resolution. The discovery that my husband had systematically defrauded his employer while conducting an affair with his secretary required professional-grade investigation and response strategies that extended far beyond typical marital discord resolution. My background in organizational analysis provided essential frameworks for managing complex situations involving multiple stakeholders, conflicting interests, and potential legal ramifications. This systematic approach that had enabled Meridian Strategic Solutions to achieve consistent client success would now be applied to protecting my personal and professional interests while ensuring appropriate resolution of James's criminal behavior. The investigation expansion required establishing clear objectives that balanced personal protection with professional obligations and legal compliance requirements. The primary goals included documenting the complete scope of James's fraudulent activities, protecting Meridian Strategic Solutions from potential reputational or financial damage, ensuring recovery of funds owed to my consulting firm, and positioning for optimal outcomes in inevitable legal proceedings. Professional consulting experience had demonstrated that successful crisis management depends on comprehensive information gathering before taking action that might compromise future options or create unintended consequences. The methodology that had proven effective for client organizational challenges would now be applied to navigating the most significant personal and professional crisis of my career. Detailed analysis of Atlantic Financial Services, payment history with Meridian Strategic Solutions, revealed patterns that extended far beyond simple cash flow challenges. The consulting engagement had been progressing successfully until September 2023, when payment delays began coinciding with James's increasing requests for access to our joint financial accounts. The forensic review required systematic examination of all financial documents related to both the consulting contract and our personal banking arrangements. This analysis revealed that James had been manipulating both his employer's accounts and our personal finances simultaneously, using his access to company resources to fund expenses that supported his relationship with Amanda, while depleting our joint accounts through misrepresented business expenses. Bank records demonstrated that James's unauthorized use of Atlantic Financial Services resources had escalated systematically over an 8-month period. Initial transactions were relatively small and could be rationalized as legitimate business expenses, but the pattern evolved toward substantial expenditures for luxury items, expensive entertainment, and travel that clearly exceeded any reasonable business justification. The total amount of fraudulent transactions at Atlantic Financial Services exceeded $500,000, representing a criminal offense that would require mandatory reporting to appropriate authorities. Dr. Summers emphasized that family members' emotional responses to memory recovery could significantly influence patients' psychological adjustment and therapeutic outcomes, particularly when recovered memories involved activities or relationships that created family conflict or distress. The recommendation to maintain supportive neutrality while monitoring for potentially dangerous behavioral changes provided framework for managing Margaret's continued recovery while protecting family welfare. The expansion of protective protocols to include systematic documentation of Margaret's memory recovery patterns and behavioral changes reflected recognition that understanding her neurological progress was essential for predicting potential risks and developing appropriate intervention strategies. The establishment of detailed record-keeping procedures that tracked her comments, activities, and emotional responses provided objective assessment tools that would inform future decisions about disclosure timing and family protection measures. Margaret's increasing participation in household management and family decision-making provided additional opportunities to assess whether her memory recovery included recollection of financial arrangements and legal consultations that had characterized her preparation for divorce proceedings. Her interactions with family financial documents and personal correspondence demonstrated continued ignorance of her previous strategic planning, suggesting that her amnesia regarding her most destructive activities remained intact, despite recovery of more routine memories. The contrast between Margaret's partial recollection of community relationships and her apparent complete ignorance of romantic involvement and divorce planning created hope that the most damaging aspects of her secret life might remain permanently inaccessible, while allowing restoration of positive memories and social connections. This selective pattern of memory recovery suggested that her accident might have achieved optimal therapeutic outcome by eliminating destructive impulses while preserving beneficial relationships and family commitments. Margaret's expressions of gratitude for family support during her recovery and her apparent contentment with domestic routines continued to suggest either genuine appreciation for second chances or sophisticated concealment of continuing intentions that she might not fully remember herself. The difficulty of distinguishing between authentic transformation and unconscious manipulation reflected the complex nature of neurological recovery and the challenge of understanding true motivations when individuals might not possess complete access to their own recent experiences and decisions. The process of managing Emma's interactions with Margaret, while monitoring for potentially concerning revelations, required careful coordination of family activities and conversations that would maintain grandmother-granddaughter relationships while preventing exposure to information that might trigger memory recovery or create confusion about family dynamics. The establishment of protective communication guidelines that preserved emotional connections while avoiding problematic topics demanded sophisticated understanding of child psychology and family systems. Margaret's renewed interest in community volunteer activities raised concerns about potential encounters with Michael Sterling or other individuals who possessed knowledge of her secret relationships and planned family departure. The necessity of managing her social reintegration, while preventing contact with people who might inadvertently trigger memory recovery or provide information about her previous activities, required strategic coordination of her schedule and social interactions. The decision to maintain limited contact with Eleanor Watson and other close friends, who had been recipients of Margaret's confidences about marital dissatisfaction, reflected recognition that these relationships represented potential sources of memory triggers that required careful management. The establishment of communication protocols with Margaret's social network that would prevent inadvertent revelation of sensitive information while maintaining supportive friendships demanded diplomatic skills and strategic relationship management. Margaret's medical follow-up appointments with Dr. Chen provided professional assessment of her neurological recovery progress and official documentation of her cognitive functioning that would inform decisions about disclosure timing and family protection strategies. The continued improvement in all measured areas with no apparent deficits in reasoning ability or emotional regulation suggested that her partial memory recovery represented normal healing progression rather than concerning neurological complications. Business reputation represented the most valuable asset that required protection through strategic communication and stakeholder management. The protection strategy included establishing complete financial separation between personal and business accounts, documenting the consulting firm's status as a victim of James's fraudulent activities, and proactively communicating with key clients about measures being taken to ensure continued service excellence despite personal circumstances. Client communication required careful balance between transparency about protective measures and discretion regarding private matters that did not affect professional service delivery. The approach emphasized Meridian strategic solutions, commitment to maintaining the highest standards of professional integrity while addressing challenges that resulted from external criminal activity rather than business operational problems. Banking relationships required immediate review and modification to ensure that personal financial complications could not affect business operations or client service capabilities. New credit arrangements and operational account structures were established to provide complete separation between personal and professional financial obligations. Insurance coverage analysis confirmed that business liability policies provided protection against certain types of third-party claims that might arise from association with criminal activities. However, comprehensive legal separation between personal and business interests provided the most effective protection against potential complications from James's legal problems. Managing information disclosure required careful strategic planning to protect legitimate interests while maintaining professional relationships and personal privacy during inevitable legal proceedings. The communication strategy needed to address multiple audiences, including clients, professional colleagues, family members, and legal authorities, with appropriate messaging for each stakeholder group. Client communication emphasized continuity of service excellence and reinforced confidence in Meridian Strategic Solutions' operational integrity. The messaging highlighted protective measures being implemented to ensure that personal circumstances would not affect professional service delivery or business relationship management. Professional network communication focused on maintaining credibility within the consulting industry, while discreetly gathering intelligence about market reactions and potential impact on future business development opportunities. The approach emphasized professional competence in managing challenging circumstances while avoiding detailed disclosure of private matters. Legal communication required coordination with attorneys to ensure that all stakeholder messaging complied with investigation requirements and did not compromise criminal prosecution efforts or civil recovery actions. The strategy prioritized legal compliance while protecting business and personal interests through appropriate information management. Family communication proved particularly challenging given the sensitive nature of both the marital betrayal and criminal fraud revelations. The approach emphasized factual information sharing while maintaining emotional boundaries that would support effective decision-making during legal proceedings and personal recovery processes. Systematic evidence preservation became crucial as the investigation expanded to encompass both personal betrayal and professional fraud. The methodology required maintaining comprehensive documentation that would support legal proceedings while preserving business records that demonstrated Meridian Strategic Solutions' legitimate claim for recovery of outstanding consulting fees. Financial records preservation included securing all banking statements, credit card records, and transaction documentation that demonstrated James's fraudulent use of both personal and corporate resources. The systematic approach ensured that evidence would be available for both criminal prosecution and civil recovery proceedings. Communication records preservation encompassed email correspondence, text messages, and phone records that documented James's deceptive behavior and misrepresentation of his activities. This evidence would prove crucial for establishing patterns of deliberate fraud rather than inadvertent mistakes or poor judgment. Business documentation preservation focused on consulting contracts, invoice records, and service delivery documentation that established Meridian Strategic Solutions' legitimate claims against Atlantic Financial Services. This evidence would support recovery efforts, regardless of criminal proceeding outcomes or personal divorce settlement negotiations. Professional consultation records were preserved to document the systematic investigation process and demonstrate that all actions taken were based on professional advice and legal compliance requirements. This documentation would protect against potential criticism of response strategies or allegations of inappropriate behavior during crisis management. Understanding broader market implications of the Atlantic Financial Services fraud required systematic intelligence gathering about industry reactions and potential impact on future business opportunities. The assessment needed to evaluate both immediate risks and longer-term strategic considerations for Meridian Strategic Solutions, continued growth and market positioning. Industry analysis revealed that financial services companies were experiencing increased regulatory scrutiny regarding internal controls and expense management procedures. The fraud at Atlantic Financial Services would likely accelerate industry-wide implementation of enhanced oversight measures that could create consulting opportunities for firms specializing in operational compliance and risk management. Competitive analysis indicated that other consulting firms were already positioning themselves to capture business opportunities created by increased demand for internal control improvements and fraud prevention services. Meridian Strategic Solutions' direct experience with fraud detection and resolution could provide competitive advantages in this expanding market segment. Client feedback assessment revealed that existing clients viewed the situation as demonstration of professional competence in managing challenging circumstances rather than evidence of poor business judgment or inadequate due diligence. The systematic approach to crisis management reinforced client confidence in consulting capabilities and professional integrity. Market positioning opportunities emerged from the situation as potential case study material for demonstrating expertise in organizational risk management and crisis response. The experience could be leveraged to expand service offerings into fraud prevention and internal control consulting, while maintaining appropriate confidentiality regarding specific details. Managing the emotional impact of simultaneous personal betrayal and professional crisis required systematic approach to maintaining psychological resilience while executing complex strategic response plans. Professional consulting experience provided frameworks for managing stress and maintaining decision-making capability during challenging circumstances. The resilience framework emphasized maintaining physical health through regular exercise and adequate sleep despite increased stress levels and demanding investigation schedule. Professional performance required sustained energy and mental clarity that could only be maintained through consistent attention to basic health requirements. Emotional support systems were activated through discreet consultation with trusted friends and professional counselors who could provide perspective and guidance without compromising investigation confidentiality requirements. The support network provided essential validation and stress management assistance during the most challenging phases of evidence gathering and legal planning. Professional focus was maintained through systematic compartmentalization that separated business responsibilities from personal crisis management. Designated time periods were allocated for each area of concern to prevent emotional overwhelm from affecting business decision-making and client service delivery. Strategic perspective was preserved through regular consultation with legal and business advisors who provided objective analysis of options and outcomes. Professional guidance helped maintain focus on achievable objectives while preventing emotional factors from compromising optimal strategic decision-making. Coordinating multiple proceeding timelines required sophisticated project management approaches that balanced competing priorities and legal requirements. Criminal investigation schedules, divorce proceeding timelines, civil litigation phases, and business operational requirements needed careful coordination to achieve optimal outcomes across all areas of concern. Criminal investigation cooperation required immediate availability for law enforcement interviews and evidence provision while maintaining business operational responsibilities and client service commitments. The coordination challenge demanded careful scheduling and communication management to meet all obligations effectively. Divorce proceeding timelines needed coordination with criminal investigation schedules to ensure that asset protection measures complied with legal requirements while preserving maximum recovery potential. Legal counsel coordination became essential for managing competing deadlines and procedural requirements. Civil litigation planning required strategic timing decisions that maximized recovery potential, while avoiding conflicts with criminal prosecution efforts or divorce settlement negotiations. The complexity demanded continuous legal consultation and adaptive planning as circumstances evolved. Business operational planning needed accommodation for increased legal and administrative demands while maintaining client service excellence and pursuing growth opportunities. The challenge required systematic time management and priority setting to balance competing demands effectively. The accumulation of comprehensive evidence regarding James's fraudulent activities and marital betrayal required careful consideration of optimal timing for direct confrontation. Professional consulting experience had demonstrated that premature action often compromised strategic objectives, while excessive delay could allow adverse circumstances to deteriorate further or enable additional deception. Legal counsel advised that criminal charges against James would be filed within 10 business days, creating a narrow window for addressing the situation before law enforcement involvement complicated communication opportunities and asset protection measures. The timing decision required balancing multiple competing considerations, including evidence preservation, asset security, business protection, and personal safety concerns. The strategic framework emphasized maintaining control over information disclosure while positioning for optimal outcomes across all affected areas. Confronting James before criminal charges became public would provide opportunities for potentially favorable private resolution, while waiting until after law enforcement action might limit negotiation flexibility but could strengthen legal positions. Analysis of James's behavior patterns suggested that he remained unaware of the comprehensive investigation that had documented his fraudulent activities and personal deception. His continued normal routine and casual attitude toward financial discussions indicated confidence that his schemes remained undetected, providing tactical advantages for controlling the confrontation timing and circumstances. The decision was made to initiate confrontation within 48 hours, allowing sufficient time for final preparation, while ensuring that the discussion occurred before external factors eliminated strategic control over the situation. The timing would provide maximum opportunity for favorable resolution, while preserving all legal and financial options, regardless of James's response to evidence presentation. Professional negotiation experience had demonstrated that environmental factors significantly influenced communication outcomes and psychological dynamics during difficult conversations. The confrontation setting required careful selection to provide psychological advantages while ensuring safety and evidence preservation capabilities. The decision was made to conduct the confrontation in my home office at Meridian Strategic Solutions, rather than our shared residence or neutral location. The professional environment would reinforce my position of strength while providing access to comprehensive documentation and legal consultation, if circumstances required immediate expert guidance during the discussion. Security considerations included ensuring that trusted colleagues were aware of the meeting timing and had instructions for appropriate response if communication became concerning. Professional security consultation confirmed that the office environment provided adequate safety measures while maintaining privacy for sensitive discussions about criminal activity and personal betrayal. Documentation preparation included organizing evidence materials in presentation formats that would demonstrate the comprehensive scope of investigation while maintaining psychological impact through systematic revelation of information. The approach emphasized professional competence and thorough preparation rather than emotional accusations or dramatic confrontation techniques. Communication equipment was prepared to ensure accurate recording of any admissions or threats that might prove relevant for legal proceedings. Legal counsel had confirmed that recording was permissible given the circumstances and could provide valuable evidence for both criminal prosecution and civil recovery efforts. The systematic presentation of evidence required careful structuring to achieve maximum psychological impact while maintaining professional credibility and legal effectiveness. The framework emphasized logical progression from general observations to specific documentation, allowing James to understand the complete scope of discovered deception through methodical revelation. The presentation began with general financial discrepancies that could potentially be explained through innocent mistakes or miscommunication. This approach provided opportunities for James to offer explanations or admissions that might facilitate resolution while establishing the foundation for more serious allegations, if cooperation was not forthcoming. Progressive evidence presentation included bank records demonstrating systematic misuse of joint accounts, communication records revealing the scope of his relationship with Amanda Foster, and corporate financial documents showing his fraudulent activities at Atlantic Financial Services. Each category of evidence was supported by comprehensive documentation that precluded denial or alternative explanations. The presentation emphasized the professional investigation methodology that had uncovered the deception, demonstrating systematic competence rather than accidental discovery. This approach reinforced my position of strength while highlighting the thoroughness of evidence gathering that would support legal proceedings if private resolution proved impossible. Legal implications were presented factually rather than threateningly, emphasizing the inevitable consequences of criminal fraud while maintaining openness to cooperative resolution if James demonstrated genuine willingness to address the harm he had caused to multiple parties. Understanding James's likely psychological responses to confrontation required analysis of his personality patterns and behavioral history throughout our marriage. This assessment provided frameworks for predicting his reaction strategies and preparing appropriate responses that would maintain strategic control regardless of his chosen approach. Historical behavior patterns suggested that James typically responded to criticism through defensive deflection, blame assignment to external factors, and attempts to minimize the significance of problematic situations. These tendencies indicated that initial confrontation responses would likely include denial, rationalization, and efforts to redirect responsibility rather than acknowledgement or cooperation. Professional consulting experience with difficult personality types provided strategies for managing defensive responses while maintaining focus on factual evidence and practical resolution requirements. The approach emphasized remaining calm and professional regardless of emotional manipulation attempts or aggressive behavior that might emerge during evidence presentation. Contingency planning included preparation for various response scenarios ranging from complete denial and aggressive counterattacks to emotional breakdown and immediate confession. Each potential response pattern required specific management strategies that would protect my interests while maintaining opportunities for favorable resolution if cooperation eventually developed. The psychological framework emphasized maintaining emotional distance and professional perspective throughout the confrontation, regardless of personal hurt or anger that might be triggered by James's responses to evidence of his betrayal and criminal behavior. The confrontation began at 7 o'clock on a Thursday evening in March 2024, with James arriving at my office under the pretense of discussing routine financial planning matters. His casual demeanor and normal conversation patterns confirmed that he remained unaware of the comprehensive investigation that had documented his fraudulent activities and personal deception. The transition from routine financial discussion to evidence presentation was managed gradually to prevent defensive shutdown while establishing the serious nature of discovered problems. Initial questions about recent expense patterns and cash flow requirements provided opportunities for James to offer explanations that might indicate willingness to cooperate with resolution efforts. James's responses to preliminary inquiries followed predicted patterns of vague explanations and deflective questioning about my motivations for detailed financial review. His apparent confidence and casual dismissal of concerns confirmed that he believed his deception remained undetected, providing psychological advantages for controlling the pace and direction of evidence revelation. The systematic presentation of bank records and credit card statements produced visible anxiety, as James recognized that his financial manipulation had been discovered and documented comprehensively. His attempts to provide alternative explanations became increasingly desperate as the evidence scope became apparent. Communication records and photographs documenting his relationship with Amanda Foster generated more dramatic responses, including anger, defensive accusations, and attempts to minimize the significance of his personal betrayal. However, his focus remained on personal relationship issues, rather than recognition of the criminal fraud implications that represented far more serious concerns. The presentation of evidence documenting James's fraudulent activities at Atlantic Financial Services marked the critical transition from personal betrayal discussion to criminal behavior confrontation. His reaction to this evidence revealed complete shock and the first indication that he understood the serious legal consequences of his actions. Corporate financial records and expense documentation demonstrated systematic fraud exceeding $500,000 over an 8-month period. The evidence showed deliberate manipulation of company accounts and falsification of business records that constituted serious criminal offenses regardless of personal motivations or relationship considerations. James's response shifted immediately from defensive anger to panic as he recognized that criminal prosecution was inevitable and that his career, reputation, and financial security would be destroyed by the legal consequences of his fraudulent activities. His attempts to negotiate immediate resolution demonstrated understanding that cooperation might represent his only opportunity to minimize criminal penalties. The revelation that his fraudulent activities had directly affected Meridian Strategic Solutions through delayed consulting fee payments created additional psychological pressure, as he understood that his actions had harmed both his wife's business and his employer simultaneously. The interconnected nature of his deception eliminated any possibility of compartmentalizing consequences or limiting damage through partial disclosure. Documentation of the systematic investigation process convinced James that comprehensive evidence existed to support criminal prosecution and civil recovery actions. His recognition that denial or continued deception would be futile created openness to cooperative resolution discussions for the first time during the confrontation. James's acknowledgement of criminal fraud liability created opportunities for negotiating asset recovery arrangements that could benefit all injured parties while potentially reducing his legal exposure through cooperative resolution. The negotiation required careful balance between protecting my interests and providing incentives for James to facilitate comprehensive restitution efforts. The primary negotiation objective focused on securing immediate payment of consulting fees owed to Meridian Strategic Solutions while ensuring that restitution arrangements with Atlantic Financial Services would not compromise my company's recovery priority. Legal consultation confirmed that properly structured agreements could provide security for my business interests while supporting James's cooperation with criminal investigation requirements. Asset identification revealed that James possessed limited liquid resources for immediate restitution, but held equity positions in retirement accounts and real estate that could support comprehensive recovery if properly structured through legal proceedings. The negotiation emphasized maximizing recovery potential through systematic asset liquidation, rather than accepting immediate but inadequate partial payments. Personal property division discussions were coordinated with restitution negotiations to ensure that divorce settlement arrangements supported rather than compromised criminal fraud recovery efforts. The complexity required continuous legal consultation to prevent conflicts between competing proceeding requirements and optimization objectives. James's cooperation with asset disclosure and liquidation planning was secured through emphasizing that transparent cooperation represented his best opportunity for achieving favorable outcomes in criminal sentencing, while demonstrating genuine remorse for the harm he had caused to multiple parties. Resolving the broader fraud situation required coordination with Atlantic Financial Services Management to ensure that restitution arrangements supported the company's recovery needs while protecting Meridian's strategic solutions. Priority claim for consulting fee payments. The coordination process demanded diplomatic negotiation skills and comprehensive legal strategy development. Initial communication with Atlantic Financial Services focused on establishing my consulting firm's position as an injured party entitled to recovery priority, while demonstrating willingness to cooperate with the company's broader restitution and prosecution objectives. The approach emphasized mutual benefit rather than competing claims for limited recovery resources. Legal consultation confirmed that proper coordination could achieve favorable outcomes for both Atlantic Financial Services and Meridian Strategic Solutions, while supporting criminal prosecution efforts that would deter similar fraud in the future. The strategy required careful timing and comprehensive documentation to ensure legal effectiveness. Corporate management at Atlantic Financial Services expressed appreciation for my cooperative approach and professional handling of the situation, despite the personal complications created by James's criminal behavior. Their willingness to prioritize my consulting fee recovery reflected recognition of my professional integrity and systematic approach to crisis management. The coordination resulted in agreements that protected my business interests while supporting Atlantic Financial Services, broader recovery efforts, and criminal prosecution objectives. The collaborative approach demonstrated how professional competence and ethical behavior could generate favorable outcomes even in challenging circumstances created by criminal fraud. Managing the emotional aspects of confronting both marital betrayal and criminal fraud required establishing clear personal boundaries that protected psychological well-being, while maintaining strategic effectiveness throughout complex resolution processes. Professional consulting experience provided frameworks for separating emotional reactions from practical decision-making requirements. The boundary framework emphasized treating James's criminal behavior as a business problem requiring systematic resolution rather than a personal attack requiring emotional response. This perspective enabled maintaining professional competence, while processing the personal hurt and anger generated by his betrayal and deception. Communication boundaries were established to limit discussions with James to practical matters related to legal proceedings and asset recovery, while avoiding emotional conversations about relationship issues or personal motivations. The approach protected against manipulation attempts, while maintaining focus on achieving optimal resolution outcomes. Professional support systems were activated through consultation with counselors and advisors who specialized in managing complex personal crises that intersected with business responsibilities. The support network provided essential guidance for maintaining psychological resilience while executing demanding legal and financial recovery strategies. The boundary establishment process recognized that recovery from betrayal trauma would require extended time and professional support, but that immediate practical concerns demanded sustained focus and competent execution, regardless of emotional state. The disciplined approach to separating personal healing from business problem-solving enabled effective crisis management while protecting long-term psychological well-being. The confrontation results required comprehensive documentation to preserve evidence of James's admissions and cooperation commitments, while establishing the foundation for ongoing legal proceedings and recovery efforts. Professional standards demanded systematic record-keeping that would support all subsequent actions and provide accountability for negotiated agreements. Legal consultation confirmed that recorded admissions and cooperation agreements could significantly strengthen both criminal prosecution and civil recovery cases, while providing protection against future denial or non-cooperation if James's attitude changed as legal proceedings progressed. The documentation process included detailed summaries of evidence presented, comprehensive records of James's responses and admissions, and specific agreements regarding asset disclosure and liquidation cooperation. This systematic approach ensured that confrontation outcomes would be preserved and enforceable regardless of subsequent developments. Business impact documentation focused on quantifying the harm to Meridian Strategic Solutions from delayed consulting fee payments and potential reputational risks from association with criminal fraud. This evidence would support recovery actions and demonstrate the professional competence used to manage crisis circumstances. The systematic documentation approach reflected the same professional standards that had enabled consulting business success, while providing comprehensive protection for all legal and financial interests affected by James's criminal behavior and personal betrayal. The confrontation strategy had achieved primary objectives of securing James's acknowledgement of criminal fraud, obtaining cooperation commitments for asset recovery, and establishing foundations for favorable resolution of all affected interests. The systematic approach to evidence presentation and negotiation had demonstrated how professional competence could transform apparent personal disaster into opportunities for comprehensive justice and business protection. The foundation for ultimate strategic victory was solidly established through methodical execution of carefully planned confrontation and negotiation strategies. The transition from private confrontation to formal legal proceedings required sophisticated coordination between multiple legal jurisdictions and practice areas. James's cooperation during the initial evidence presentation provided strategic advantages for managing criminal prosecution requirements while maintaining focus on civil recovery objectives and business protection priorities. Law enforcement officials expressed appreciation for the comprehensive evidence documentation that had been systematically gathered during the investigation phase. The professional quality of financial analysis and communication records significantly accelerated the criminal case development process, while providing prosecutors with evidence that substantially exceeded typical fraud case documentation standards. The criminal charges filed against James included wire fraud, embezzlement, and falsification of corporate records, with potential penalties including substantial prison time and mandatory restitution requirements. The severity of charges reflected both the significant financial losses and the systematic nature of fraudulent activities that had been thoroughly documented through professional investigation methodologies. Prosecutor coordination required balancing cooperation with criminal proceedings against protection of civil recovery interests and business confidentiality requirements. Legal counsel established frameworks that enabled full cooperation with law enforcement while preserving strategic advantages for pursuing independent recovery actions and maintaining professional reputation within the consulting industry. The criminal case timeline extended over several months, requiring sustained coordination between legal proceedings and business operational requirements. The systematic approach to managing these competing demands demonstrated how professional project management capabilities could be applied effectively to complex legal and personal crisis situations. Implementing comprehensive asset recovery required systematic liquidation of James's available resources while coordinating with Atlantic Financial Services to ensure that restitution arrangements achieved optimal outcomes for all injured parties. The complexity demanded sophisticated financial planning and legal strategy coordination across multiple competing interests. Initial asset assessment revealed that James's liquid resources were insufficient for immediate full restitution, but that systematic liquidation of retirement accounts, real estate equity, and other holdings could provide substantial recovery over an 18-month period. The recovery strategy emphasized maximizing total restitution, while providing immediate partial payments to address urgent operational requirements. Retirement account liquidation required specialized legal procedures to minimize tax penalties, while ensuring that funds were properly allocated between criminal restitution requirements and civil recovery claims. The complexity demanded coordination between tax advisors, legal counsel, and financial institutions to achieve optimal outcomes within regulatory compliance requirements. Real estate liquidation involved the marital residence that we had shared, requiring coordination between divorce proceedings and criminal restitution requirements. The property sale process was managed to maximize recovery value, while ensuring that proceeds were properly allocated according to legal priority requirements and negotiated settlement agreements. Personal property division was coordinated with asset recovery priorities to ensure that valuable items contributed to restitution obligations while providing fair distribution of marital assets according to divorce settlement requirements. The systematic approach prevented conflicts between competing legal proceedings while optimizing recovery outcomes. Protecting and enhancing Meridian's strategic solutions required comprehensive strategies that transformed the crisis circumstances into opportunities for business growth and market positioning. The professional handling of complex legal and financial challenges demonstrated consulting capabilities that could be leveraged for expanded service offerings and enhanced client confidence. Client communication regarding the situation emphasized the professional competence demonstrated through systematic crisis management while providing assurance that business operations remained unaffected by personal circumstances. The messaging reinforced confidence in consulting capabilities while highlighting the comprehensive risk management and problem-solving skills that clients valued. The crisis experience provided valuable case study material for developing new service offerings in fraud prevention, internal control assessment, and crisis management consulting. These expanded capabilities addressed growing market demand for risk management services while differentiating Meridian's strategic solutions from competitors who lacked comparable real-world experience. Marketing strategy development focused on leveraging the professional reputation enhanced through competent crisis management to pursue larger clients and more complex consulting engagements. The demonstrated ability to manage sophisticated legal and financial challenges provided credibility for handling enterprise-level consulting projects that offered greater revenue potential. Operational improvements implemented during the crisis period enhanced business efficiency and client service capabilities while providing systematic frameworks for managing future challenges. The professional development achieved through managing complex circumstances strengthened consulting capabilities and personal confidence in pursuing ambitious growth objectives. Managing professional reputation within the consulting industry required strategic communication that emphasized competence and ethical behavior while addressing potential concerns about association with criminal fraud activities. The approach focused on demonstrating professional integrity and systematic problem-solving capabilities rather than avoiding discussion of challenging circumstances. Professional network communication highlighted the systematic investigation and ethical response to discovered fraud, emphasizing cooperation with law enforcement and commitment to ensuring appropriate justice for all affected parties. The messaging reinforced reputation for professional integrity while demonstrating sophisticated crisis management capabilities. Industry conference participation provided opportunities to share insights about fraud detection and crisis management without compromising legal proceedings or client confidentiality requirements. The educational approach positioned expertise in risk management and organizational integrity as valuable consulting services while building thought leadership recognition. Professional association involvement was expanded to include committees focused on ethical standards and professional development, providing platforms for contributing to industry improvement while demonstrating commitment to maintaining highest professional standards despite challenging personal circumstances. Media relations required careful management to ensure that public attention focused on professional competence and ethical behavior rather than personal drama or sensational aspects of criminal fraud. The strategic approach emphasized business accomplishments and professional contributions while maintaining appropriate privacy regarding personal matters. Implementing systematic financial recovery required comprehensive strategies that maximized asset liquidation value while minimizing tax implications and legal complications. The approach emphasized professional financial management that could serve as model for other fraud victims seeking optimal recovery outcomes. Investment account liquidation was coordinated with tax planning strategies to minimize penalty implications, while ensuring that recovery funds were available for business reinvestment and personal financial security. The systematic approach to financial management demonstrated professional competence while achieving practical recovery objectives. Insurance claim processing revealed that certain business interruption and professional liability policies provided coverage for losses related to fraud circumstances. The comprehensive insurance recovery required sophisticated documentation and legal coordination but resulted in additional compensation that enhanced overall financial recovery outcomes. Banking relationship management during the crisis period demonstrated financial stability and professional competence that resulted in enhanced credit availability and expanded business financing options. The systematic approach to maintaining financial reputation during challenging circumstances provided strategic advantages for future business growth initiatives. Investment strategy development for recovered funds emphasized both personal financial security and business expansion opportunities. The balanced approach to wealth management reflected lessons learned through crisis management, while providing foundation for sustained financial growth and professional development. Coordinating settlement negotiations across multiple legal proceedings required sophisticated strategy development that balanced competing interests while achieving optimal outcomes for all affected parties. The negotiation process demanded comprehensive legal knowledge and professional diplomatic skills that reflected consulting experience with complex stakeholder management challenges. Divorce settlement negotiations were managed to achieve fair property division while ensuring that criminal restitution requirements were properly integrated with marital asset distribution. The complexity required continuous legal consultation and strategic planning to prevent conflicts between competing legal obligations and financial recovery priorities. Civil settlement discussions with Atlantic Financial Services emphasized mutual benefit and professional cooperation rather than adversarial litigation that could compromise recovery outcomes for all parties. The collaborative approach reflected consulting industry values while achieving practical resolution of complex financial and legal challenges. Criminal plea negotiation coordination ensured that James's cooperation with restitution efforts was properly recognized in sentencing recommendations, while maintaining appropriate consequences for serious criminal behavior. The balanced approach achieved justice objectives while maximizing recovery potential for injured parties. Professional mediation services were utilized to facilitate complex negotiations that involved multiple parties with competing interests and legal obligations. The systematic approach to dispute resolution demonstrated professional competence while achieving comprehensive resolution of interconnected legal and financial challenges. Managing personal emotional recovery while executing complex legal and business strategies required systematic approaches to psychological wellness that supported sustained professional performance during extended stress periods. The integration process emphasized maintaining strategic perspective while processing betrayal trauma through appropriate professional support systems. Counseling services provided essential frameworks for understanding betrayal dynamics and developing healthy coping mechanisms that supported effective decision-making during legal proceedings and business management responsibilities. The professional support enabled maintaining emotional stability while pursuing aggressive recovery strategies that required sustained focus and energy. Physical wellness programs were implemented to manage stress-related health impacts while maintaining the physical stamina required for demanding legal and business responsibilities. The systematic approach to health management demonstrated professional discipline while providing foundation for sustained performance during extended crisis resolution periods. Professional development activities continued throughout the crisis period to maintain focus on long-term career objectives while managing immediate challenges. The disciplined approach to continued learning and skill development reinforced professional identity while providing constructive outlets for managing stress and uncertainty. Social support network management required careful balance between maintaining privacy regarding sensitive legal matters and securing emotional support from trusted friends and professional colleagues. The systematic approach to relationship management provided essential support while protecting confidential information and legal strategy requirements. Coordinating communication across multiple audiences and legal proceedings required sophisticated messaging strategies that maintained consistency while addressing diverse stakeholder information needs and legal compliance requirements. The communication excellence demonstrated professional competence while protecting strategic interests throughout complex resolution processes. Legal communication coordination ensured that all stakeholder messaging complied with criminal investigation requirements and civil litigation strategy, while maintaining professional reputation and business relationship integrity. The systematic approach prevented communication conflicts that could compromise legal proceedings or business interests. Client communication management emphasized business continuity and professional competence, while providing appropriate transparency about protective measures being implemented to ensure continued service excellence. The messaging reinforced client confidence while demonstrating crisis management capabilities that enhanced consulting credibility. Professional network communication focused on sharing appropriate insights about crisis management and fraud prevention, while maintaining confidentiality regarding specific legal proceedings and personal matters. The educational approach contributed to industry knowledge, while building thought leadership recognition and professional relationships. Family communication required sensitive management of complex, emotional, and practical matters, while maintaining focus on legal compliance and strategic objectives. The balanced approach provided necessary support for family members while protecting confidential information and legal strategy requirements. Leveraging crisis management experience for industry leadership development required strategic positioning that emphasized professional competence and ethical commitment, while contributing to improved industry standards and practices. The leadership development process demonstrated how challenging circumstances could be transformed into opportunities for professional advancement and industry contribution. Professional speaking opportunities emerged from demonstrated expertise in fraud detection and crisis management, providing platforms for sharing insights while building thought leadership recognition within the consulting industry. The educational approach emphasized practical frameworks that could benefit other professionals while establishing expertise credentials. Industry committee participation expanded to include fraud prevention and professional ethics initiatives that addressed growing concerns about financial misconduct and professional integrity standards. The involvement demonstrated commitment to industry improvement while providing networking opportunities and professional development experiences. Professional publication opportunities developed from systematic documentation of crisis management approaches and recovery strategies that could provide guidance for other fraud victims and professional service providers. The educational contribution enhanced industry knowledge while building professional recognition and credibility. Mentorship program development enabled sharing crisis management insights with emerging professionals while contributing to industry talent development and professional standards improvement. The systematic approach to knowledge transfer demonstrated professional commitment while building valuable professional relationships and industry influence. The comprehensive resolution of legal proceedings and business recovery initiatives provided validation that systematic professional approaches could successfully transform apparent disasters into opportunities for growth and advancement. The transformation process demonstrated how professional competence and ethical behavior could generate favorable outcomes, even in circumstances involving serious criminal behavior and personal betrayal. Legal proceeding outcomes achieved comprehensive justice through criminal conviction and appropriate sentencing, while securing maximum possible restitution for all injured parties. The results validated the systematic investigation and professional cooperation approach, while demonstrating effective crisis management capabilities. Financial recovery outcomes exceeded initial projections through systematic asset liquidation and comprehensive settlement negotiations that protected business interests while achieving personal financial security. The professional financial management demonstrated competence that could be leveraged for future business growth and investment opportunities. Business growth achieved during the crisis period validated the strategic approach to transforming challenges into opportunities for professional development and market expansion. The enhanced consulting capabilities and client confidence demonstrated how professional excellence could generate positive outcomes even during difficult personal circumstances. Professional reputation enhancement achieved through competent crisis management provided foundation for pursuing ambitious business growth objectives and industry leadership opportunities. The demonstrated expertise in complex problem-solving and ethical behavior created strategic advantages for future professional development and business expansion initiatives. The systematic approach to managing betrayal and criminal fraud had achieved comprehensive victory through professional excellence and strategic thinking, demonstrating that competent crisis management could transform apparent disasters into opportunities for justice, growth, and enhanced professional success. The systematic resolution of criminal fraud proceedings and comprehensive asset recovery had generated unexpected opportunities for business expansion and professional advancement that extended far beyond simple restoration of previous circumstances. The crisis management experience provided valuable expertise and market credibility that positioned Meridian Strategic Solutions for strategic growth into emerging consulting segments with substantial revenue potential. Analysis of market trends revealed increasing demand for specialized consulting services in fraud prevention, crisis management, and organizational risk assessment. Corporate boards and executive leadership teams across multiple industries were implementing enhanced oversight requirements following high-profile financial misconduct cases, creating sustained market opportunities for consultants with proven expertise in detecting and resolving complex fraud situations. The demonstrated ability to conduct systematic financial investigations and coordinate complex legal proceedings provided unique qualifications for serving clients who required sophisticated risk management and crisis response capabilities. These specialized consulting services commanded premium pricing while building long-term client relationships based on demonstrated competence in managing critical organizational challenges. Industry intelligence indicated that traditional consulting firms lacked practical experience with real-world fraud detection and crisis management, creating competitive advantages for Meridian Strategic Solutions in pursuing contracts that required proven capability rather than theoretical knowledge. The combination of technical expertise and demonstrated performance under pressure provided strategic differentiation in competitive proposal situations. Professional recognition achieved through competent crisis management had enhanced industry reputation and expanded networking opportunities that provided access to larger clients and more complex consulting engagements. The enhanced credibility enabled pursuing enterprise-level contracts that offered greater revenue potential while establishing foundation for sustained business growth and market leadership development. Developing comprehensive service offerings that leveraged crisis management expertise required systematic analysis of market requirements and strategic positioning that emphasized unique capabilities while maintaining focus on core operational efficiency consulting that had established initial business success. The expansion strategy balanced growth objectives with operational excellence requirements that protected existing client relationships. Fraud prevention consulting services were developed to address growing corporate demand for systematic risk assessment and internal control improvement. These services combined technical expertise in financial analysis with practical experience in detecting sophisticated fraud schemes, providing clients with comprehensive protection strategies that addressed both prevention and detection requirements. Crisis management consulting emerged as a natural extension of demonstrated capabilities, offering clients systematic frameworks for managing organizational challenges that threatened operational continuity or reputation integrity. The service development emphasized practical methodologies that could be implemented effectively under pressure, while maintaining stakeholder confidence and business performance standards. Organizational risk assessment services addressed growing regulatory requirements and board governance expectations for comprehensive evaluation of internal controls and potential vulnerabilities. These assessments provided systematic evaluation of financial processes, communication systems, and oversight mechanisms that could prevent or detect problematic activities before they generated serious consequences. Executive coaching services were developed to support leaders who faced complex challenges requiring systematic problem-solving approaches and strategic thinking under pressure. The coaching methodology emphasized practical frameworks that enabled effective decision-making during difficult circumstances while maintaining professional competence and stakeholder confidence. Training program development provided corporate clients with systematic employee education regarding fraud prevention, ethical decision-making, and organizational responsibility. These programs addressed growing corporate requirements for comprehensive staff training while providing recurring revenue opportunities that enhanced business financial stability. Implementing systematic client acquisition required comprehensive marketing approaches that emphasized demonstrated expertise and measurable results while maintaining professional credibility and industry reputation. The strategy balanced aggressive growth objectives with professional standards that preserved long-term relationship potential and industry standing. Professional speaking engagements provided platforms for demonstrating expertise while building thought leadership recognition within target market segments. These presentations emphasized practical insights and systematic methodologies rather than dramatic case study details, maintaining professional discretion while establishing credibility with potential clients and industry colleagues. Industry conference participation expanded to include specialized risk management and corporate governance events that attracted senior executives and board members who required sophisticated consulting services. The strategic conference selection provided access to decision-makers who possessed both authority and budget for engaging premium consulting services. Professional publication development enabled sharing systematic approaches to fraud prevention and crisis management, while building recognition as subject matter expert within specialized consulting markets. The publications emphasized practical frameworks and implementation strategies that demonstrated competence, while providing valuable industry education and networking opportunities. Referral network expansion leveraged existing client relationships and professional connections to generate qualified leads for specialized consulting services. The systematic approach to referral development emphasized mutual benefit and professional cooperation, rather than aggressive sales techniques that could compromise relationship integrity or professional reputation. Strategic partnership development with legal firms, accounting practices, and other professional service providers created collaborative opportunities for serving clients who required comprehensive expertise across multiple disciplines. These partnerships provided access to larger clients while enabling service delivery that exceeded individual firm capabilities. Scaling business operations to support expanded service offerings required systematic development of internal capabilities and process improvements that maintained service quality while accommodating increased client volume and engagement complexity. The operational excellence approach emphasized sustainable growth rather than rapid expansion that could compromise professional standards or client satisfaction. Project management system implementation provided systematic frameworks for managing multiple complex engagements while maintaining quality standards and deadline compliance across diverse service offerings. The systems approach enabled efficient resource allocation and progress monitoring, while ensuring that specialized consulting services met professional standards and client expectations. Quality assurance development established comprehensive review processes that maintained service excellence across expanded service portfolio while providing continuous improvement opportunities based on client feedback and performance measurement. The systematic approach to quality management protected professional reputation while supporting sustained business growth and client retention. Staff development programs prepared team members for supporting specialized consulting services while maintaining core competencies that supported existing client relationships. The professional development approach emphasized systematic skill building and knowledge acquisition that enhanced individual capabilities while strengthening overall organizational competence. Technology infrastructure enhancement provided systematic support for complex data analysis and secure communication requirements that characterized specialized consulting services. The technology investment enabled efficient service delivery while maintaining confidentiality and professional standards required for sensitive client engagements. Financial management system improvements provided comprehensive tracking and analysis capabilities that supported business growth while maintaining accurate cost allocation and profitability assessment across diverse service offerings. The systematic financial approach enabled strategic decision-making while protecting cash flow and investment requirements. Establishing thought leadership within specialized consulting markets required systematic contribution to industry knowledge and professional standards, while building recognition as expert practitioner and innovative service provider. The leadership development strategy emphasized substantial contribution to industry advancement, rather than self-promotional activities that could compromise professional credibility. Professional committee participation expanded to include industry standards development and best practices committees that addressed fraud prevention and crisis management challenges facing corporate clients. The committee involvement provided opportunities for shaping industry direction while building valuable professional relationships and market intelligence. Research initiative development enabled systematic investigation of emerging fraud patterns and crisis management challenges that affected corporate clients across multiple industries. The research approach emphasized practical insights that could benefit industry practitioners while establishing expertise credentials and thought leadership recognition. Mentorship program expansion provided guidance for emerging consultants while contributing to industry talent development and professional standards improvement. The mentorship activities demonstrated professional commitment while building valuable industry relationships and recognition for leadership capabilities. Industry award recognition resulted from demonstrated excellence in crisis management and professional service delivery, providing validation of expertise while enhancing market credibility and client confidence. The recognition achievements reflected systematic professional development and sustained commitment to excellence rather than promotional activities. Publication development expanded to include comprehensive guides and professional resources that addressed complex fraud prevention and crisis management challenges facing corporate clients. The publication approach emphasized practical value for industry practitioners while establishing authority and expertise within specialized consulting markets. Developing collaborative relationships with complementary professional service providers enabled serving larger clients and more complex engagements while maintaining focus on core consulting competencies that generated primary revenue and professional satisfaction. The partnership strategy emphasized mutual benefit and professional cooperation, rather than competitive relationships that could compromise service quality or client outcomes. Legal partnership development created collaborative frameworks for serving clients who required both consulting expertise and legal representation during crisis management and fraud resolution situations. These partnerships provided comprehensive service capabilities while maintaining professional boundaries and ethical standards that protected all parties. Accounting firm partnerships enabled systematic financial analysis and investigation services that supported fraud detection and crisis management consulting, while providing clients with comprehensive professional resources. The collaborative approach enhanced service delivery capability while maintaining independence and objectivity required for effective consulting relationships. Technology consulting partnerships provided specialized technical expertise for clients who required sophisticated data analysis and system evaluation capabilities during fraud investigation and crisis management situations. These partnerships enabled comprehensive service delivery while maintaining focus on core strategic consulting competencies. Insurance industry partnerships created opportunities for providing specialized risk assessment and crisis management services to insurance companies and their clients who faced complex fraud situations or organizational challenges. The partnerships provided access to larger client base while contributing valuable expertise to insurance industry risk management capabilities. International consulting partnerships enabled serving multinational clients who required coordinated fraud prevention and crisis management services across multiple jurisdictions and regulatory environments. These partnerships provided global service capability while maintaining local expertise and cultural understanding required for effective international consulting relationships. Maintaining expertise leadership within rapidly evolving consulting markets required systematic professional development that enhanced technical capabilities while building industry knowledge and relationship networks necessary for sustained competitive advantage. The development strategy emphasized continuous learning and skill enhancement rather than credential accumulation that provided limited practical benefit. Advanced certification programs in fraud examination and crisis management provided specialized technical credentials that enhanced client confidence while demonstrating commitment to professional excellence and industry standards. The certification approach emphasized practical competence rather than theoretical knowledge that lacked real-world application value. Executive education participation enabled systematic learning about emerging business challenges and management approaches that affected client organizations and consulting service requirements. The education approach emphasized practical insights that could be applied immediately to enhance client service delivery and business development opportunities. Professional conference attendance expanded to include international events and specialized symposiums that provided access to global best practices and emerging trends in fraud prevention and crisis management consulting. The conference strategy emphasized learning and networking opportunities rather than promotional activities that could compromise professional relationships. Industry research participation enabled contributing to systematic knowledge development while building expertise in emerging areas that offered future consulting opportunities. The research approach emphasized practical application and professional contribution rather than academic exercise that provided limited market value. Continuing education requirements were exceeded systematically to maintain expertise currency while building advanced capabilities that supported service differentiation and premium pricing strategies. The education approach emphasized strategic skill development rather than minimum compliance with professional standards. Achieving recognition as leading provider of specialized fraud prevention and crisis management consulting required systematic market development and professional contribution that demonstrated expertise while building client confidence and industry credibility. The leadership strategy emphasized substantial achievement rather than promotional activities that could compromise professional reputation. Client success documentation provided systematic evidence of consulting effectiveness while building case study materials that supported business development and professional recognition activities. The documentation approach emphasized measurable outcomes and client satisfaction rather than dramatic narrative that might compromise confidentiality or professional discretion. Industry benchmark development enabled systematic measurement of consulting effectiveness while contributing valuable resources for industry practitioners and potential clients. The benchmark approach provided objective evidence of professional competence while supporting strategic positioning and competitive differentiation. Professional standard development participation enabled contributing to industry improvement while building recognition as expert practitioner and thought leader. The standards development approach emphasized practical benefit for industry practitioners while demonstrating professional commitment and expertise credentials. Market innovation leadership resulted from systematic development of new consulting methodologies and service delivery approaches that addressed emerging client requirements and industry challenges. The innovation approach emphasized practical effectiveness rather than theoretical advancement that lacked measurable client benefit. Industry recognition achievement reflected sustained professional excellence and substantial contribution to industry advancement rather than promotional activities or self-serving behavior. The recognition provided validation of systematic professional development while enhancing market credibility and business growth opportunities. Establishing foundation for sustained business growth required systematic planning and resource development that balanced expansion opportunities with operational excellence requirements and professional standard maintenance. The growth framework emphasized sustainable development rather than rapid expansion that could compromise service quality or professional reputation. Financial planning development provided comprehensive resource allocation and investment strategies that supported business growth while maintaining operational stability and cash flow security. The planning approach emphasized strategic investment rather than speculative expansion that could compromise business foundation or client service capabilities. Organizational development planning prepared systematic capability building and staff expansion that could support increased client volume while maintaining service quality and professional standards. The development approach emphasized sustainable growth rather than rapid scaling that could compromise operational effectiveness or professional excellence. Market expansion planning identified systematic opportunities for geographic and service growth while maintaining focus on core competencies and competitive advantages that generated primary revenue and professional satisfaction. The expansion approach emphasized strategic development rather than diversification that could compromise professional focus or market position. Strategic planning integration enabled systematic coordination of business development activities with professional development objectives and industry contribution goals. The planning approach emphasized comprehensive alignment rather than competing priorities that could compromise professional effectiveness or business success. The systematic transformation of crisis circumstances into strategic business advantages had established Meridian Strategic Solutions as leading provider of specialized consulting services, while demonstrating how professional excellence and systematic thinking could generate exceptional outcomes from challenging circumstances. Divorce settlement negotiations were managed to achieve fair property division while ensuring that criminal restitution requirements were properly integrated with marital asset distribution. The complexity required continuous legal consultation and strategic planning to prevent conflicts between competing legal obligations and financial recovery priorities. Civil settlement discussions with Atlantic Financial Services emphasized mutual benefit and professional cooperation rather than adversarial litigation that could compromise recovery outcomes for all parties. The collaborative approach reflected consulting industry values while achieving practical resolution of complex financial and legal challenges. Criminal plea negotiation coordination ensured that James's cooperation with restitution efforts was properly recognized in sentencing recommendations, while maintaining appropriate consequences for serious criminal behavior. The balanced approach achieved justice objectives while maximizing recovery potential for injured parties. Professional mediation services were utilized to facilitate complex negotiations that involved multiple parties with competing interests and legal obligations. The systematic approach to dispute resolution demonstrated professional competence while achieving comprehensive resolution of interconnected legal and financial challenges. Managing personal emotional recovery while executing complex legal and business strategies required systematic approaches to psychological wellness that supported sustained professional performance during extended stress periods. The integration process emphasized maintaining strategic perspective while processing betrayal trauma through appropriate professional support systems. Counseling services provided essential frameworks for understanding betrayal dynamics and developing healthy coping mechanisms that supported effective decision-making during legal proceedings and business management responsibilities. The professional support enabled maintaining emotional stability while pursuing aggressive recovery strategies that required sustained focus and energy. Physical wellness programs were implemented to manage stress-related health impacts while maintaining the physical stamina required for demanding legal and business responsibilities. The systematic approach to health management demonstrated professional discipline while providing foundation for sustained performance during extended crisis resolution periods. Professional development activities continued throughout the crisis period to maintain focus on long-term career objectives while managing immediate challenges. The disciplined approach to continued learning and skill development reinforced professional identity while providing constructive outlets for managing stress and uncertainty. Social support network management required careful balance between maintaining privacy regarding sensitive legal matters and securing emotional support from trusted friends and professional colleagues. The systematic approach to relationship management provided essential support while protecting confidential information and legal strategy requirements. Coordinating communication across multiple audiences and legal proceedings required sophisticated messaging strategies that maintained consistency while addressing diverse stakeholder information needs and legal compliance requirements. The communication excellence demonstrated professional competence while protecting strategic interests throughout complex resolution processes. Legal communication coordination ensured that all stakeholder messaging complied with criminal investigation requirements and civil litigation strategy, while maintaining professional reputation and business relationship integrity. The systematic approach prevented communication conflicts that could compromise legal proceedings or business interests. Client communication management emphasized business continuity and professional competence, while providing appropriate transparency about protective measures being implemented to ensure continued service excellence. The messaging reinforced client confidence while demonstrating crisis management capabilities that enhanced consulting credibility. Professional network communication focused on sharing appropriate insights about crisis management and fraud prevention, while maintaining confidentiality regarding specific legal proceedings and personal matters. The educational approach contributed to industry knowledge, while building thought leadership recognition and professional relationships. Family communication required sensitive management of complex, emotional, and practical matters, while maintaining focus on legal compliance and strategic objectives. The comprehensive impact required sophisticated intervention strategies that addressed both immediate employment needs and long-term professional development objectives. Assessment of Amanda's professional capabilities demonstrated competence and potential that had been overshadowed by association with fraud circumstances rather than inherent performance deficiencies. The systematic evaluation revealed opportunities for career redirection that could leverage existing skills while addressing market concerns about professional judgment and ethical standards. Reputation recovery strategy development emphasized transparent acknowledgement of judgment errors, while demonstrating systematic professional development and ethical commitment that could restore market confidence. The approach balanced accountability with forward-looking professional competence that addressed employer concerns while positioning for career advancement opportunities. Professional development planning provided systematic frameworks for skill enhancement and credential building that would demonstrate commitment to professional excellence while addressing market skepticism about judgment and ethical standards. The comprehensive approach created measurable progress indicators that could be documented for potential employers and professional references. Addressing Amanda's professional challenges required systematic intervention within financial services industry networks that could restore career viability while demonstrating consulting expertise in reputation management and professional rehabilitation. The intervention strategy emphasized professional competence and ethical behavior rather than emotional appeals that could compromise effectiveness. Professional reference development enabled systematic documentation of Amanda's actual work performance and professional capabilities separate from circumstances surrounding her association with criminal fraud activities. The reference strategy emphasized objective performance assessment while addressing legitimate concerns about professional judgment and ethical standards. Industry networking facilitation provided structured opportunities for Amanda to demonstrate professional competence and ethical commitment while building relationships that could support career transition objectives. The networking approach emphasized genuine value contribution rather than reputation rehabilitation that could appear self-serving or manipulative. Professional education recommendations provided systematic pathways for enhancing credentials and demonstrating commitment to professional excellence that could address market concerns while positioning for advanced career opportunities. The education strategy emphasized practical skill development rather than theoretical advancement that provided limited market value. Career transition planning identified systematic opportunities within financial services and related industries that could utilize existing competencies while providing fresh professional environment free from association with previous circumstances. The transition approach emphasized strategic positioning rather than damage control that could perpetuate negative market perceptions. Mentorship program development provided ongoing professional guidance and industry connection that supported sustained career advancement, while demonstrating systematic commitment to professional development and ethical behavior. The mentorship approach emphasized long-term professional success rather than immediate problem resolution that could lack sustainability. The successful consultation engagement with Amanda demonstrated systematic achievement of comprehensive victory that addressed all dimensions of betrayal and fraud circumstances while establishing foundation for sustained professional success and industry leadership. The resolution validated strategic approaches that emphasized professional excellence and systematic thinking over emotional responses and punitive actions. Professional reputation enhancement resulted from competent handling of complex consultation challenges while maintaining ethical standards and industry credibility. The successful engagement demonstrated consulting capabilities that could address sophisticated reputation management requirements while generating valuable business development outcomes. Industry recognition increased through demonstration of professional maturity and ethical leadership in addressing challenging consultation circumstances. The systematic approach to complex personal dynamics provided evidence of consulting expertise that enhanced market credibility and thought leadership positioning. Business development outcomes included expanded service offerings and enhanced market positioning that generated increased revenue opportunities while strengthening competitive advantages in specialized consulting markets. The professional handling of sensitive circumstances demonstrated capabilities that attracted additional high-value clients requiring sophisticated consultation services. Personal satisfaction achievement reflected successful transformation of betrayal circumstances into opportunities for professional advancement and positive industry contribution. The systematic approach to crisis management had generated outcomes that exceeded pre-crisis professional standing, while demonstrating resilience and strategic thinking capabilities. Educational contribution development enabled sharing systematic approaches to crisis management and reputation recovery, while building industry knowledge and professional standards. The contribution approach emphasized practical frameworks that could benefit other professionals, while establishing expertise credentials and thought leadership recognition. Comprehensive documentation of consultation outcomes and resolution achievements provided systematic evidence of professional competence, while establishing case study materials that supported business development and industry contribution objectives. The documentation approach emphasized professional standards and ethical considerations while protecting confidentiality requirements. Professional methodology documentation enabled systematic sharing of consultation approaches and reputation recovery strategies, while contributing to industry knowledge and best practices development. The documentation emphasized practical frameworks rather than specific case details that could compromise confidentiality or professional discretion. Outcome measurement development provided systematic frameworks for evaluating consultation effectiveness while demonstrating professional competence and service quality to potential clients and industry colleagues. The measurement approach emphasized objective assessment rather than subjective evaluation that could lack credibility or market acceptance. Business impact analysis quantified consultation engagement benefits while providing evidence of professional competence and market positioning advantages. The analysis demonstrated systematic approach to service delivery while establishing foundation for expanded business development and industry leadership activities. Industry contribution assessment evaluated professional development and thought leadership achievements while identifying opportunities for continued industry involvement and knowledge sharing. The assessment approach emphasized substantial contribution rather than self-promotional activities that could compromise professional credibility. Professional standard development participation enabled contributing systematic insights about consultation ethics and reputation recovery, while building industry recognition and establishing expertise credentials. The standards development approach emphasized practical benefit for industry practitioners, while demonstrating professional commitment and leadership capabilities. The comprehensive resolution of betrayal and fraud circumstances through systematic professional approaches demonstrated transformational leadership capabilities that extended beyond individual achievement to include industry contribution and positive social impact. The leadership emergence reflected sustained commitment to professional excellence and ethical behavior, rather than opportunistic advancement or self-serving behavior. Professional influence expansion resulted from demonstrated expertise in crisis management and reputation recovery, while building recognition as thought leader and industry expert. The influence development emphasized substantial contribution rather than promotional activities that could compromise professional credibility or market positioning. Industry standard improvement participation enabled systematic contribution to professional development and ethical behavior enhancement, while building valuable relationships and recognition within specialized consulting markets. The standard improvement approach emphasized practical benefit for industry practitioners while demonstrating leadership commitment and expertise capabilities. Mentorship program expansion provided systematic guidance for emerging professionals while contributing to industry talent development and professional standards enhancement. The mentorship activities demonstrated professional commitment while building valuable industry relationships and recognition for leadership capabilities. Educational initiative development enabled systematic sharing of crisis management expertise while contributing to professional education and industry knowledge advancement. The educational approach emphasized practical value for professional development rather than academic exercise that provided limited market benefit. Social impact achievement reflected successful transformation of challenging personal circumstances into opportunities for positive contribution and industry improvement. The impact achievement demonstrated how professional excellence and systematic thinking could generate benefits that extended beyond individual success to include broader professional and social advancement. Establishing foundation for sustained professional success in industry leadership required systematic planning and resource development that balanced expansion opportunities with professional standard maintenance and ethical obligation fulfillment. The success framework emphasized sustainable development rather than short-term achievement that could compromise long-term professional standing or industry credibility. Professional development planning provided systematic pathways for continued expertise enhancement and industry contribution, while maintaining focus on core competencies that generated primary professional satisfaction and market recognition. The development approach emphasized strategic advancement rather than diversification that could compromise professional effectiveness or market position. Industry involvement planning identified systematic opportunities for continued contribution and leadership development, while building valuable relationships and recognition within specialized professional markets. The involvement approach emphasized substantial contribution rather than self-promotional activities that could compromise professional credibility or industry standing. Business expansion planning provided systematic frameworks for growth and development while maintaining service quality and professional standards that protected market reputation and client satisfaction. The expansion approach emphasized sustainable growth rather than rapid scaling that could compromise operational effectiveness or professional excellence. Legacy development planning enabled systematic contribution to industry advancement and professional standard improvement, while building recognition for substantial achievement and positive impact. The legacy approach emphasized lasting contribution, rather than temporary recognition that provided limited professional or social benefit. Strategic integration planning provided comprehensive coordination of professional development activities with business expansion objectives and industry contribution goals. The integration approach emphasized systematic alignment, rather than competing priorities that could compromise professional effectiveness or sustainable success achievement. The systematic transformation of betrayal and fraud circumstances into comprehensive victory had demonstrated how professional excellence and strategic thinking could generate extraordinary outcomes while contributing positively to industry advancement and professional standard improvement. The achievement validated approaches that emphasized systematic competence and ethical behavior over emotional responses and punitive actions, establishing foundation for sustained success and meaningful professional contribution that would benefit both individual advancement and broader industry development. The comprehensive success of consultation engagements and reputation recovery initiatives had established Meridian Strategic Solutions as the preeminent consulting firm for crisis management and organizational integrity challenges within the southeastern business community. This recognition represented systematic validation of strategic approaches that emphasized professional excellence and ethical leadership over conventional consulting methodologies that lacked real-world crisis experience. Industry analysis confirmed that Meridian Strategic Solutions had achieved market differentiation that commanded premium pricing while generating sustained client demand across multiple business sectors. The consulting firms demonstrated capability to manage complex fraud situations and organizational crises, provided competitive advantages that traditional consulting firms could not replicate through theoretical knowledge or academic credentials alone. Corporate boards and executive leadership teams increasingly sought consultation services, specifically because of proven expertise in managing sophisticated challenges under pressure, while maintaining stakeholder confidence and regulatory compliance. The market demand reflected growing recognition that crisis management required specialized competence that extended beyond standard operational consulting capabilities. Professional referral networks had expanded systematically to include legal firms, accounting practices, and regulatory agencies that recommended Meridian Strategic Solutions for clients facing complex integrity challenges or organizational crises. These referral relationships provided sustained business development opportunities while validating professional reputation and service quality within specialized markets. Industry conference organizers began requesting keynote presentations and panel participation that emphasized practical insights from crisis management experience, rather than theoretical frameworks that lack demonstrable effectiveness. The speaking opportunities provided platforms for thought leadership development, while generating business development outcomes that enhanced market positioning and professional recognition. Recognition of expertise in crisis management and organizational integrity had created opportunities for systematic contribution to professional education and industry standard development that extended influence beyond direct consulting services. The educational initiatives reflected commitment to industry advancement while establishing thought leadership credentials that supported sustained business growth and professional recognition. Professional certification program development enabled systematic sharing of crisis management methodologies while contributing to industry capability enhancement and standard improvement. The certification programs emphasized practical competence rather than theoretical knowledge, ensuring that participating professionals developed real-world capabilities that could be applied effectively during actual crisis situations. University partnership establishment provided frameworks for contributing to academic curriculum development while building relationships with emerging professionals who represented future industry leaders and potential consulting clients. The academic partnerships emphasized practical application and case study development, rather than theoretical research that provided limited market value or professional development benefit. Corporate training program expansion enabled systematic delivery of fraud prevention and crisis management education to client organizations while generating recurring revenue opportunities that enhanced business financial stability. The training programs addressed growing corporate requirements for comprehensive employee education, while providing practical frameworks that could be implemented immediately within organizational structures. Industry publication development provided systematic documentation of crisis management approaches and organizational integrity strategies that contributed valuable resources for professional practitioners, while establishing expertise credentials and thought leadership recognition. The publications emphasized practical frameworks and implementation strategies rather than academic analysis that lacked actionable guidance. Professional workshop facilitation enabled intensive skill development opportunities for consulting professionals while contributing to industry capability enhancement and relationship building within specialized markets. The workshops provided practical training that could be applied immediately to client situations while generating business development opportunities and professional network expansion. The demonstrated expertise in fraud detection and crisis management had attracted attention from regulatory agencies and industry oversight organizations that sought professional input regarding policy development and enforcement strategy enhancement. The regulatory involvement reflected recognition of practical expertise while providing opportunities for systematic contribution to industry improvement and standard development. Securities and Exchange Commission consultation opportunities emerged from demonstrated capability to analyze complex financial fraud schemes and develop systematic prevention strategies. The regulatory consultation provided opportunities for contributing to policy development while building recognition as expert practitioner within specialized professional markets. Financial industry regulatory authority engagement included participation in working groups focused on internal control improvement and fraud prevention strategy development. The regulatory involvement demonstrated professional competence while providing access to industry intelligence and relationship-building opportunities that supported business development and market positioning objectives. Corporate governance standard development participation enabled systematic contribution to board oversight requirements and executive accountability frameworks that addressed growing public concern about organizational integrity and financial misconduct. The standards development work provided thought leadership opportunities while building valuable professional relationships within regulatory and corporate communities. Professional licensing board involvement included contribution to ethical standard development and professional competence requirements that addressed emerging challenges in crisis management and organizational integrity consulting. The licensing involvement demonstrated commitment to professional excellence while building recognition for expertise and ethical leadership within consulting industry. Legal proceeding expert witness opportunities provided systematic application of crisis management expertise while generating revenue and professional recognition that enhanced market credibility and thought leadership positioning. The expert witness work demonstrated practical competence while contributing to legal system effectiveness in addressing complex fraud and organizational misconduct cases. The systematic approach to crisis management and fraud detection had revealed opportunities for technology application that could enhance consulting effectiveness while providing competitive advantages through innovative service delivery methodologies. The technology integration reflected commitment to professional advancement while maintaining focus on practical effectiveness and client value creation. Financial analysis software development enabled systematic enhancement of fraud detection capabilities while providing proprietary tools that differentiated consulting services and improved investigation efficiency. The software development represented strategic investment in competitive advantages while contributing to industry capability advancement and professional standard improvement. Communication monitoring system implementation provided systematic frameworks for detecting potential fraud indicators and organizational integrity challenges before they developed into serious crises. The monitoring systems offered clients proactive protection while generating recurring revenue opportunities that enhanced business financial stability and growth potential. Data analytics platform integration enabled systematic analysis of complex financial patterns and organizational communication that could reveal potential fraud schemes or integrity challenges requiring professional intervention. The analytics capabilities provided sophisticated investigation tools while demonstrating technological competence that attracted clients requiring advanced analytical services. Document management system development provided secure and systematic organization of sensitive investigation materials while ensuring compliance with confidentiality requirements and legal evidence preservation standards. The document systems enhanced operational efficiency while protecting client interests and professional liability concerns. Training platform development enabled systematic delivery of fraud prevention and crisis management education through online and interactive formats that could serve larger client populations, while reducing delivery costs and expanding market reach. The training platforms provided scalable service delivery while maintaining quality standards and professional effectiveness. The establishment of market leadership within southeastern consulting markets had created opportunities for systematic expansion into national and international markets that offered substantial growth potential while leveraging proven expertise and established reputation for professional excellence and crisis management competence. National market assessment revealed significant demand for specialized crisis management and organizational integrity consulting services within major metropolitan areas that lacked consulting firms with comparable real-world experience and proven track records. The market analysis identified specific geographic and industry segments that offered optimal expansion opportunities while minimizing competitive challenges and resource requirements. International partnership development enabled systematic entry into global markets through collaborative relationships with established consulting firms that required specialized crisis management expertise for serving multinational clients. The partnership approach provided market access while maintaining focus on core competencies and avoiding resource dilution that could compromise service quality or professional standards. Corporate client expansion focused on multinational organizations that required coordinated crisis management and fraud prevention services across multiple jurisdictions and regulatory environments. These clients offered substantial revenue potential while providing opportunities for demonstrating consulting capabilities in complex international business contexts. Professional credential development included obtaining certifications and recognition within international consulting markets that validated expertise while providing access to global professional networks and business development opportunities. The credential development emphasized practical competence rather than theoretical advancement that provided limited market value or competitive advantage. Cultural adaptation strategy development provided systematic frameworks for adapting crisis management approaches and consultation methodologies to diverse cultural and regulatory environments, while maintaining effectiveness and professional standards. The adaptation strategies enabled international service delivery while protecting professional reputation and client satisfaction across diverse market contexts. The achievement of market leadership and professional recognition had created responsibility for ensuring systematic development of next-generation professionals who could continue advancing industry standards and crisis management capabilities beyond individual career tenure. The succession planning reflected commitment to industry advancement, while protecting business continuity and professional legacy objectives. Professional mentorship program expansion provided systematic guidance for emerging consultants while contributing to industry talent development and professional standard enhancement. The mentorship programs emphasized practical competence development rather than theoretical education that lacked real-world application value or market effectiveness. Internal capability development focused on systematic skill building and knowledge transfer that prepared team members for advanced responsibilities while maintaining service quality and professional standards that protected client relationships and market reputation. The capability development emphasized practical expertise rather than administrative advancement that could compromise consulting effectiveness. Industry leadership preparation included systematic involvement of emerging professionals in thought leadership activities and professional standard development that built recognition while contributing to industry advancement and capability enhancement. The leadership preparation emphasized substantial contribution rather than promotional activities that could compromise professional credibility or market positioning. Business transition planning provided systematic frameworks for ensuring continuity of client relationships and service excellence, while enabling professional advancement and industry contribution that extended beyond individual career objectives. The transition planning emphasized sustainable development rather than rapid advancement that could compromise operational effectiveness or professional standards. Knowledge documentation system development enabled systematic preservation and transfer of crisis management expertise and consultation methodologies that could benefit future professionals while protecting proprietary approaches and competitive advantages. The documentation systems provided comprehensive training resources while maintaining professional standards and service quality requirements. The transformation from personal crisis to industry leadership had crystallized systematic understanding of professional principles and ethical frameworks that guided consulting practice and industry contribution activities. The philosophy integration reflected comprehensive learning from crisis management experience, while establishing foundation for sustained professional excellence and meaningful contribution to industry advancement. Ethical leadership framework development emphasized systematic approaches to managing competing stakeholder interests, while maintaining professional integrity and service excellence that protected client relationships and industry reputation. The ethical framework provided practical guidance for complex consultation situations, while establishing standard for professional behavior and decision-making processes. Professional excellence standard definition included systematic approaches to service delivery and client relationship management that ensured consistent quality while providing frameworks for continuous improvement and capability enhancement. The excellence standards emphasized practical effectiveness rather than theoretical perfection that could compromise client satisfaction or market competitiveness. Industry contribution philosophy established systematic commitment to professional advancement and standard improvement that extended beyond individual success to include positive impact on consulting industry and broader business community. The contribution philosophy emphasized substantial achievement rather than self-promotional activities that could compromise professional credibility or market positioning. Crisis management principled documentation provided systematic frameworks for addressing complex organizational challenges while maintaining stakeholder confidence and regulatory compliance throughout difficult circumstances. The crisis principles emphasized practical effectiveness rather than theoretical approaches that lacked proven track records or real-world application value. Professional legacy objective definition included systematic planning for sustained industry contribution and positive impact that would extend beyond individual career tenure to benefit future professionals and industry advancement. The legacy objectives emphasized meaningful contribution rather than personal recognition that provided limited professional or social value. The systematic transformation of personal betrayal and professional crisis into industry leadership and positive contribution had demonstrated comprehensive victory through strategic thinking and professional excellence that generated benefits extending far beyond individual achievement to include substantial industry advancement and professional standard improvement. 2 years after the initial discovery of James's betrayal and fraudulent activities, the systematic transformation of crisis circumstances into professional advantage had achieved outcomes that exceeded all initial recovery objectives, while establishing foundation for sustained industry leadership and meaningful professional contribution. The comprehensive assessment revealed how methodical crisis management and strategic thinking had generated extraordinary results across multiple dimensions of professional and personal development. Financial recovery analysis demonstrated that systematic asset liquidation and civil litigation had achieved complete restitution, while generating additional compensation that exceeded pre-crisis personal wealth by substantial margins. The financial outcomes reflected careful legal strategy and comprehensive investigation rather than fortunate circumstances or external assistance that could not be replicated through systematic approaches. Business performance evaluation confirmed that Meridian Strategic Solutions had achieved market leadership within specialized consulting segments, while expanding service offerings and geographic reach beyond initial strategic planning projections. The business growth reflected demonstrated competence and systematic market development rather than opportunistic advantage that lacked sustainable foundation or competitive differentiation. Professional reputation assessment revealed recognition as industry thought leader and expert practitioner, whose insights were sought by regulatory agencies, academic institutions, and professional organizations seeking guidance on crisis management and organizational integrity challenges. The professional standing reflected substantial contribution and proven expertise, rather than promotional activities or superficial recognition that provided limited long-term value. Industry impact measurement confirmed that consultation methodologies and educational initiatives had influenced professional standards and regulatory frameworks, while contributing to enhanced capability development across consulting industry and related professional service sectors. The industry influence reflected systematic knowledge sharing and meaningful contribution rather than self-promotional activities that provided limited professional or social benefit. Personal development evaluation demonstrated achievement of psychological resilience and strategic perspective that enabled effective leadership during challenging circumstances while maintaining ethical standards and professional excellence throughout complex crisis management situations. The personal growth reflected systematic learning and professional development, rather than temporary adaptation that lacked sustainable foundation or comprehensive integration. The extraordinary outcomes achieved through systematic crisis management required comprehensive documentation that could provide guidance for other professionals facing similar challenges, while contributing to industry knowledge development and professional standard enhancement. The methodology documentation emphasized practical frameworks and replicable approaches, rather than circumstantial advantages that could not be applied broadly within professional practice. Crisis response framework development provided systematic approaches to initial assessment and strategic planning that enabled effective decision-making during high-stress circumstances, while maintaining focus on long-term objectives and optimal outcome achievement. The framework emphasized professional competence and strategic thinking, rather than emotional reactions that could compromise effectiveness or generate suboptimal results. Investigation methodology documentation included systematic approaches to evidence gathering and analysis that ensured comprehensive understanding of complex situations while maintaining legal compliance and professional ethical standards. The investigation approaches emphasized thorough preparation and methodical execution, rather than intuitive responses that could compromise accuracy or legal effectiveness. Legal coordination strategy documentation provided frameworks for managing multiple concurrent proceedings, while optimizing outcomes across competing interests and procedural requirements. The coordination strategies emphasized systematic planning and professional consultation, rather than ad hoc responses that could compromise strategic objectives or legal effectiveness. Business protection methodology documentation included systematic approaches to insulating professional operations from personal crisis circumstances, while maintaining client confidence and service excellence throughout challenging periods. The protection strategies emphasized professional competence and operational excellence, rather than damage control that could compromise long-term business viability or market reputation. Recovery optimization strategy documentation provided frameworks for maximizing asset recovery and civil litigation effectiveness, while minimizing resource consumption and timeline extensions that could compromise other strategic objectives. The optimization approaches emphasized systematic planning and professional execution, rather than aggressive tactics that could compromise relationships or professional reputation. The proven expertise in crisis management and organizational integrity had created opportunities for systematic contribution to professional education that addressed growing market demand for specialized training, while establishing revenue streams that enhanced business diversification and market positioning. The educational program development reflected commitment to industry advancement, while providing sustainable business growth opportunities. Executive education curriculum development enabled systematic delivery of crisis management training to senior leadership teams, who required comprehensive understanding of organizational risk assessment and response strategy development. The executive programs emphasized practical application and real-world case studies rather than theoretical frameworks that lacked immediate applicability or demonstrated effectiveness. Professional certification program creation provided systematic credentialing for consultants and advisors seeking specialized expertise in fraud detection and crisis management consulting. The certification programs emphasized practical competence and proven methodologies rather than academic credentials that provided limited market value or client confidence enhancement. Corporate training module development enabled systematic delivery of fraud prevention and organizational integrity education to employee populations across diverse industries and organizational structures. The training modules emphasized practical awareness and systematic prevention rather than theoretical compliance that provided limited protection against sophisticated fraud schemes or organizational misconduct. Academic partnership expansion provided frameworks for contributing to university curriculum development, while building relationships with emerging professionals and research institutions that could support ongoing knowledge development and industry advancement. The academic partnerships emphasized practical application and professional development rather than theoretical research that provided limited industry benefit or market application. Professional workshop facilitation expansion enabled intensive skill development opportunities for consulting professionals, while generating business development outcomes and industry relationship building that supported market positioning and thought leadership recognition. The workshops emphasized practical competence development rather than theoretical education that lacked immediate application value or professional advancement benefit. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.